people who are banned from voting. That's Libération's front page today. None of these 6 people, all resident in France for decades, can vote in the upcoming election. Why not? Because they're foreign citizens, and France doesn't allow any non-Europeans to vote in its elections. Now, there's a vote going through the Senate today on whether or not the right to vote in local elections should be extended to foreign citizens who've been living here a long time. It's expected to pass because the Senate's controlled by the left and it's a socialist policy, but it's a symbolic vote really, because nothing will actually be implemented unless the socialists win the upcoming election, because Sarkozy's against it. Now, the Libération says in its editorial, this is nevertheless a good policy, because in a time when we're all worried about the economy, it's good for the left to remind us that there's some other big important issues in democracy to do with voting rights to talk about. So they say it's great it's being brought up into the front of politics. Le Monde, though, here in their editorial on this front page, accuses both the left and the right of using this issue as a political football for decades. The socialists originally said that they would extend voting rights to foreigners in 1981 when François Mitterrand was elected. It never happened, so some of the foreigners they talk to aren't very impressed that it's been put off for so long, and the right, of course, the paper says, is using it to stir up the fear of immigration.
They support the right then, but the right isn't keen.
No, Le Figaro, their headline today is Sarkozy's charge against the Socialist Party. Now, they set out Sarkozy's party's case, really, in that front page. They say that the Socialists are using the two-house system, they're using their control of the Senate, basically to carry out their own electioneering, because they're not supposed, according to Le Figaro, to carry out symbolic votes about things that are never going to happen. They're just using it for their own election purposes. It also makes the front page of Le Parisien here, the right of foreigners to vote in front of the Senate, and they've got a rather nice map on the inside which will show you which countries can vote, which countries in Europe rather allow foreigners to vote, which don't. They point out Scandinavian countries all do, which according to some politicians they talk to in Sweden is really good for getting foreigners to integrate themselves more. And they also have a look at why Sarkozy has changed his mind so quickly on this issue. As recently as 2008 he backed the policy, and now he's turned all around. They say that's because he's trying to attract a working class vote he worries will go for Marine Le Pen.
Now, we've got a new candidate for the presidency here in France.
Yeah, the centrist François Bayrou announced he's definitely standing. He's on the front page of François today. They report that he hopes to use his influence to try and get himself chosen as Prime Minister by whoever does win, although we don't quite know whether he would back the right or the left in a second round vote. Le Figaro is also having a look at his policy platform. They say he's trying to create a space in the centre, saying that Sarkozy's moving further to the right, Hollande's moving further to the left. He's talking about forming a kind of national unity government to deal with the economic crisis. They say apparently that he quoted a speech made by de Gaulle in 1958 about the national interest, but despite all of those grand historical allusions, he's not actually doing very well. He's only polling half the numbers at the moment that he did in 2007.
Now, Elena's pulled out a little bit of culture for us now, a play that's causing controversy here in Paris.
We've talked a bit already about this, haven't we, about the right-wing Catholics who've been blockading art galleries and theatres because they say the works being produced are anti-Christian. They're back, they're blockading a play called Golgotha Picnic here in Paris, which has had to employ armed security guards because they're so worried about the danger of these demonstrators. Libération says it is a bit mysterious in such a secular country why the issue of supposedly anti-Christian artworks has suddenly become so controversial.
And finally, a French politician who's contemplating a change of career.
Yes, Eric Besson, the industry minister, he's here on the front page of Le Monde because apparently, according to people working within his office, he's leaving office after the next election. He spends all day on Twitter. That apparently Nicolas Sarkozy said that he's not doing any work, and he actually became an international scandal the other week when a secret tweet, well, a rather intimate tweet he meant to send to his wife ended up being made public.
We remember that one.
Well, yes, and according to the paper, that just shows how little work he's doing, and now apparently he wants to go into football and hopes to be chairman of his beloved Nice football club.
Excellent. All right, Elena, thank you very much. That's Elena here with the French newspapers here on France 24. Coming up then, very shortly, we report on the 3 million Afghans living in Pakistan. There's a repatriation programme run by the UN, but fewer and fewer want to return. Why? It's coming up in Focus shortly.